Hi, and thanks again for tuning into Prodigal Man. And today we're going to cover the how. How did Prodigal Man get started? What does the name mean? All of that stuff. And for many of you have been grown up in the church or have read the Bible before, you've heard the story of the prodigal son, where the son went off and took his inheritance and basically told his dad that he was done living that way of life, and he's going to go off and do his own thing. He squandered the wealth. He realized that complete emptiness followed him because of the way he decided to live his life. And it came to a pivotal point where he was literally taking care of pigs, which in Jewish culture would have never been done because that would have been unclean, number one. And he became jealous. He almost became envious that the pigs had food and he didn't, and he returned home. Prodigal man is that way for men of the church. Men of the church we've gotten ourselves to the point now where mediocrity is okay, where we can just go sit in the pew and listen to the message and not really have life change happen in our life, and struggle to experience victory. And Prodigal Man is going to stand against that. We're going to say and we're going to stand on the fact that we're Christian men, that when Jesus rose from the dead and he stepped out of the grave, he gave us the only victory we could ever need, and then we can learn all other victory through him. So if we rewind the clock about 5 years, I was on a board of a pregnancy center here locally where I'm from. And the pregnancy center, I was there for about 3.5 years, became the board chairman, and then God began to call me out of it. I wasn't sure what he was doing, but he quickly began to reveal to me this truth. And that's the truth that men are God's ultimate solution to fixing the emptiness and brokenness and hurt and pain of culture. And we're also the problem. But the key to the whole thing was that the problem, the beliefs, the desires that culture jams down our throat, the enemy trying to distract us from our true identity and our true intention as man, is empty. And the emptiness is what we're stuck with. As men, we have two choices, and that's why Prodigal Man exists. We can decide to follow God, and we can decide to enjoy the fulfillment and the success and the prosperity and the ultimate feeling of joy that we get in that relationship, or we get to follow the world. And the world is going to give us stuff that temporarily might seem good, but ultimately is going to crash and burn and leave you feeling empty. See, I believe men don't want to live in emptiness. They don't want to live in temporary victory. They want to learn, how can I live in victory every day? And so Prodigal Man, I was sitting in church one Saturday night, or maybe it was Sunday, I can't remember, and God began to tell me, he just showed me that there are men sitting in this church, hundreds of them. We attend a church down here in Florida that is 10,000 plus people in our church. And they're prodigal men sitting in the pews every single week. And they sit there and they come and they listen, and then they go home and lose. And I'm sick and tired of men, Christian men that follow Jesus, that are genuinely desiring to know him and to have him dwell in them and to harness the power of what that looks like, for them to sit there and lose every week. They shouldn't lose every week. They're the ones that should be the leaders amongst our community. They're the ones that should model how it is they treat women. They're the ones that model how it is we should be able to go ahead and be raising our kids. They're the ones that society should look at and go, why does everything work for this guy? And when it doesn't work, why does he bounce back so quickly? And that's why Prodigal Man exists. That's how it began. I began to realize that I sat there as a board chairman of a pregnancy center, realizing the ultimate problem is men. Pregnancy centers wouldn't exist if men just did what they were supposed to do. If men decided to say that they're going to be the fathers that they're supposed to be, that they're going to be the husbands that they're supposed to be, because that's what's tied to his abundance. That's what's tied to his prosperity. That's what's tied to your great fulfillment in your life, is when you walk in the ways of God. That was unlocked by the resurrection. And we need to take advantage of it as men of the church, because culture is not going to be redeemed in some weird way by some other entity. It's going to be redeemed by the men of the church. It's not going to be redeemed by politics. Doesn't take much to figure that out this day and age. It's going to be redeemed by the church, by the men of the church standing up and saying no more on certain issues. and saying, no, women do deserve to be treated a particular way. They deserve the respect that they should have. Our kids should be treated in a certain way. And that's what we're here to do with Prodigal Man. That's the vision behind it, is that every man that has a relationship with Jesus deserves to walk in victory. And I'll make it even broader. That in the beginning, when we were created by God, we were created to walk in victory. We were created in two very specific ways that we're going to get into in this channel and on Facebook and wherever you're tuning in to hear me and hear my voice. When we embrace those assignments from the garden, we can begin to walk in victory. But if you didn't catch my first video, that first walking, and you have to know what that means to have a relationship with Jesus in order to understand and be able to harness this power. So anyway, that's the story behind Prodigal Man. That's how we get started. Many steps have come into play along the way. 5 years has been a while, but it's time to go. It is time to get the message out that culture needs to hear, that enough is enough, that the men of the church are going to step up. We're going to lead in every phase of our community, of our families, at home, and we're going to be the model of what it looks like to live a joyful, amazing, prosperous life, and that will lead others ultimately into a growing relationship with Jesus. And that's what we want. Because I don't know about you, if you have this victory, if you've tasted a little bit of this in your life, you want other men to have it. And that's what I want. My heart and my desire is for men to be able to learn that they can walk in victory and grow in victory every day of their life, no matter the circumstance. Jesus doesn't care about the severity of your circumstance. He wants you to win. He has built you to win, and it's time to walk in that victory. So I'm a little intense. I do apologize for that, but this is a passion of mine. I feel like this is how we unlock God's goodness in our world, and people need it desperately. So I look forward to you continuing to tune in. Thanks for watching this video, and like and subscribe if you haven't already.